Hey guys, and welcome to my poorly lit book haul. I hope this isn't too distracting for any of you. Unfortunately, it's just that time of year where it gets dark very early and I don't have a whole load of lighting set up. So this is what we have. I have quite a few books to show you. I actually was planning on leaving this book haul for a while because there was one more book I was waiting to get and it just hasn't come out yet, and I wanted to film this so as I could talk about the books in other videos, because that has been a large portion of the reason why I haven't been making as many videos. A small portion of the reason, but we won't get into that. Welcome to the book haul. The first book I want to talk about in this book haul I was so excited for. I was a little bit scared to read. You know when you're that excited that you're afraid to read it just in case it doesn't live up to your expectations? So that book is Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor, and look how it goes with this lighting setup. Wow, it kind of makes the whole room look like hellfire. Okay, Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. This is the sequel to Strange the Dreamer, which is a very interesting, I think it's high fantasy story. Yeah, it's high fantasy, right? A high fantasy story about this guy who's obsessed with this town called Weep that kind of disappeared, and he's really interested in researching it and he gets the opportunity to do that. And it's so good. It's so good. Sequel to this, so you know, no spoilers, whatever. I'm only about 50 pages in and it's so good already. I can't praise Laini Taylor enough. Just go read some of her books. The next book I got is part of a huge series, and that is The Colour of Magic by Terry Pratchett. Now, a while ago I read two other books in the series. I read Witches Abroad and Hogfather. Now this is the very first book, and I actually have a different edition of each of the books, and I kind of made it an unofficial goal to get a different edition of every single one of the books, and I saw this one in the store that I had store credit for and I thought it was a really nice cover, and so I decided to go for it. So the Discworld series, which is this series, is quite hard to explain. It's this world that is like set on the back of like 3 or 4 turtles floating through space, and there's this guy who goes and is a tourist there. I think that is what this book is about. If you've actually read this, you might be laughing at me struggling there, but I'm excited to read this book. It's super short and probably be a very good book to read when it's a readathon or something, so I might save it for that. The next book I was also very excited for, though not as excited as some, and that is Map of Days by Ransom Riggs. This is the 4th book in the Miss Peregrine's books. There was originally only going to be 3, and then there's this new trilogy coming out, but it's like the same series, but it's like not. Yeah, so Ransom Riggs, this is such an interesting concept. Okay, so Ransom Riggs finds these old vintage photos and sets the story around the photos and makes it work. The first book in the series is about this boy whose grandfather tells him all sorts of stories about this home for peculiar children who all have special abilities, and how he used to stay with them until he left because there was like monsters or something, and the boy doesn't think it's real, and then things happen, and oh, can you guess what's gonna happen? This is the 4th book in that series. I'm excited but also a little nervous to read this one because I want it to be good so bad, but I'm afraid it might not be. The next book that I got was Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Have I said that right? I don't know. This book is I think an older one. I've heard a lot of people talk about it and it's always referenced in other things, and Daphne du Maurier is always mentioned in things like other authors make reference to her and stuff, and so I've wanted to read one of her books for a long time, and I decided to go for this one because it's set in the south of France where I'm going next year, and I really wanted to read something by her. This book I think is about a young girl who gets married and moves to her husband's house or manor or something, and there's all these hints and like mysteries about his first wife Rebecca. Something seems to have happened there, no one knows what, and it just seems like such an interesting story and like something that I haven't read before. It was in the young adult section, but I'm not sure if that's where it belongs. If you've read Daphne du Maurier, please let me know. Also let me know if I'm saying her name wrong. The next book that I got is Wildcard by Marie Lu. This book is a sequel to Warcross, which is kind of like a young adult version of Ready Player One. There's this big overarching interactive game and everyone plays it and everyone's obsessed, and then the main girl hacks herself into a big championship and the owner brings her to Tokyo to work for him or something along those lines. Anyway, this is a sequel to that. I've already read this book. It was okay. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite. And usually I love Marie Lu, but this one just didn't hit the mark for me. Anyway, the next book I got is one that everyone seems to be reading right now, and it's huge. It is huge. It is almost 1,000 pages long, which for a young adult book is like, wow, how'd you manage to get that published? That is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J Maas. This is the last book in the Throne of Glass series, and it is, as you can see, an absolute tomb. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's huge. Throne of Glass series is a big young adult fantasy series that started off pretty strong, kind of dipped around the middle, and I'm hoping will crawl itself back up in these next few books. It is about a young assassin, and she goes to work for the king, and there's kind of like a championship thing, and I am not describing that very well, but it's been a very long time since I read the first book, and this is book number, I think, 7. I'm hoping that I like it. I'm putting a tentative hoping in front of that. I'm hoping to like it. The next book that I read that I've also finished is Madeline, and it is by Ludwig Bemelmans. I picked this up when I was in Paris. I saw it in the Louvre, and I really just wanted it. I used to love the Madeline movie, and it's in French, and I read it in French, and that is such a huge achievement for me. You have no idea. I was so bad at French in school, and I've been trying to relearn it. Anyway, I read Madeline, and it's so cute. Madeline is basically a children's picture book about a boarding school in Paris and a little girl called Madeline who goes there. The next book I got is also in French, also from my trip to Paris, and that is Le Petit Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Names, I'm sorry. This book is also in French. As you can see, I'm desperately trying to get good at French, and it is about a man who goes into the middle of the desert. His car breaks down and he meets the little prince, and so far it's quite good, and it's quite easy to understand, which is again making me feel pretty good about my French skills, even though my French skills are like, here's a tourist, here's me. That is what this book is about. And I got one more book in French, and that is Surtout à l'infini by John Green. I probably said that with the worst French accent you've ever heard. But anyway, this is Turtles All the Way Down in French. And the reason that I got this particular book is because the bookshop we went to didn't have very many young adult books. They had literally a selection of about 10, and I had so many of them. So I was like, okay, I'll get this book. I'm not a huge John Green book fan. John Green the person, great. John Green's books, not so great for me. Anyway, I got this book because I knew if I translated it wrong, I wouldn't be too upset that I'd misunderstood it. But I also thought the storyline sounded interesting enough that I would want to read it. You know, that kind of way, you need that balance. There's a balance where like, you want to be able to translate it enough that you understand it and keep your interest, but also if you misread certain parts, I don't want to be too upset. So this seemed like a really good compromise between those things. This is about I'm gonna completely blank out all of these synopses that I've said today. Anyway, it's about this kid, and he's got OCD or something, and someone goes missing, and the dude, like a detective, try to figure something out kind of thing. Honestly, I didn't pay too much attention when there was hype around this book because I didn't think it would be one that I would pick up. So now that I have picked it up, I definitely want to try and get into it. I'm gonna wait till I finish Le Petit Prince first because we're gonna try not to overwhelm myself with the French. Like I said, I've been waiting to haul these books for a very long time. I was just waiting for one final book to be released, and it hasn't yet, so I'll just tell you what it is, and that is Grim Lovelies by Megan Shepherd. This is a book set in Paris. I've just been, so that was kind of like a nice nod towards that, like, yeah, I was starting in Paris, been there twice. So this book is set in Paris. It's got magical elements. I'm hoping, judging by Megan Shepherd's last series that I read and enjoyed, that it'll have a kind of a dark atmosphere and a slow build, and that's what I'm wanting from this book. I'm so excited to get this book. I've been wanting to get my hands on it since I heard about it, and it was released so long ago everywhere else, and then here I've been going to the bookshop every day to check if it's in, knowing full well that it's not been published yet over here. But hopefully I'll get my hands on it soon. I must be annoying the people in Eason's so bad because I go in every single day to check if it's there. These are all the books that I got since the last haul. Let me know what books you're excited to read next. I am definitely looking forward to reading these, particularly finishing that Laini Taylor book and also the Map of Days book. Those are my two most excited for from this haul. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.